welcome back to a super edition of Simon Says on the Mark. I'm Russell Simon, and I still haven't gotten over the Jets' loss in Pittsburgh.
And I'm Mark Donatelli. Russell, are you done whining yet?
So close! Alright, now I am. We've got a great show for you tonight. Coming up, an in-depth look on what it takes to be a Little League umpire with umpiring vet and high school senior Brian Lerner, as well as our Super Bowl preview. Alright, on your mark, get set, and here we go.
While most of us were digging out of another winter storm, many of us were setting their sights on the spring and the local Little League baseball season.
The South Orange Maplewood Little League is about to begin its intensive month-long umpire certification course to prepare the middle and high school umpires for the rigors of the Little League season and the challenges that come with maintaining order around a bunch of 12-year-olds while memorizing a complex rulebook and dealing with coaches. Here to talk about this with us is 5-year veteran Brian Lerner. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Just really good to be with you guys too.
Thanks. All right.
Okay.
And now, Brian, you've been umpiring for 5 years, but what made you initially want to be a man in blue?
Well, I've always played baseball, and I love the game. And I thought that if I umpired, I could probably just make a little more money.
Exactly.
I mean, before even that, I love baseball. It's just another way for me to get involved. And once I did that, I realized that I had such an in-depth knowledge of the game, and I knew so much more about the game than the other players that I was playing with in real baseball.
Yeah.
And just besides that, it's just a lot of fun. And I guess it's a lot of fun. Plus, I made a lot more money than all my other friends. Most of my friends didn't even have jobs in the 8th grade, and the ones that did, I made a lot more money than them.
There you go.
And just the thing is, it's just a lot of fun. And it's just, I mean, it's almost even more fun than baseball in some ways because you're always in the action. You're always at the center of everything. And just, I know for me, and I guess Russell and Mark also umpired a little bit too.
Of course.
Mark back in the day.
Or a year.
You got a year.
I had a year under my belt.
I think he was
I'm working on
he
5.
was too good an umpire for our division, so he kind of
Yeah, exactly.
I guess that's one way to put it.
Yeah.
But now I know there's a month-long training process. Yeah. Can you describe for our viewers what's that like? What do you go through?
Well, it's run through the South Orange Rec Department, and at the helm of it is Chip Nolet and also a guy named Bob Hugel, and just the two of them are heading it right now. And it's run by a long-time umpire, just named Charlie. Experienced guy, I love him to death, but he's a character. Like,
Oh, yes.
yeah, he's a character. But this guy,
The
like,
World War II veteran
he may have
stories, love it.
He may have 4 teeth in his mouth. Like, I love that guy. But the thing is, you will learn more from him than any other umpire. He's been around the game. He's probably been umpiring 3 times as long as we've been alive. He really knows what he's talking about. And for 4 weeks, he puts you under his wing. In the beginning, you start out with just some early beginning fundamentals, just like the different signs you need to make, like out, safe, all that, and just general rules of the game. And in the next couple of weeks, as you go on, you really start to get more specific, and you just like different game situations and conduct, attire, all of that.
You've got the shirts looking good.
If you join, you get this.
Exactly. Now, as an older umpire, have you found yourself mentoring some of the younger ones, especially in the training process? I know we had to take the test. Did you help the younger ones with that?
No, I definitely did, because I know when I was an umpire and I was scared and I was in the 8th grade. I know you started in the 7th grade. That was amazing. But in the 8th grade, I was scared. I had no idea what I was doing. It was the older umpires. They really took me under their wing and helped me with what I need to get done. Because when I was in the game and I didn't know what to do, and after I was done and I came back to umpiring class, they really helped me with what I needed to do. And they gave me advice, and I'm just trying to do the same thing for the younger umpires.
From a standpoint of an umpire, who I'm sure has been questioned by fans and coaches on close plays, on frequent occasions. I mean, where do you stand on instant replay in baseball? I know that's a widely debated topic in the major leagues.
Well, for me, I mean, instant replay in other sports, I mean, it's such a tough question, but for me, I think that instant replay in baseball is not a good idea, because I feel like umpiring in baseball, that brings the human element to the game. I feel like that's kind of what gives baseball such a rich and defined history and tradition, that the umpires have such an integral part in calling the game. Sure, there are mistakes that they make, but like I said, umpires are human, and they'll make mistakes. But I just think that they've been around for so long, and a lot of the fans, it's a big part of the game for them. And I just think that, just tradition-wise, you can't bring too much technology into the game, because baseball was around when people played without gloves.
And the human element leaves
Yeah.
umpires it leaves coaches and managers like Ozzie Guillen to get ejected, so that's always fun to see.
Exactly. It's a lot of fun.
But moving
Exactly.
on, still kind of expanding on the Major League instant replay element. At the Major League level, it
Yeah.
was a rough year for umpires, notably
Definitely.
the Jim Joyce disaster when he blew the call that would have given Tigers pitcher Armando Galarraga a perfect game. I'm wondering what your reaction was to that. I know when I was sitting there, I was screaming, I could have made that
Yeah.
call, I could have made that call. Were you feeling more sympathetic or kind of incredulous that, I could have made that call?
Yeah, I mean, I think my 6-year-old sister could have made that call. But the thing is, every umpire makes a mistake. And the thing is, Jim Joyce, people don't realize he's one of the best and most respected umpires in all of the game. And when he made, just people didn't realize that he was such a good umpire when he made the mistake, and they only looked at what happened in that one incident. And the thing is, when you're caught in that situation, you don't want to seem like you're giving him the no-hitter. So that moment is a tough moment. But veteran umpire, rookie mistake. When you're umpiring, you have to pretend that each pitch is the first one. So that the play that is happening is the only one you need to worry about. I think that's how you avoid the pressure of the game situation. But the way he handled the situation overall,
Admirable.
true umpire and a true man. I mean,
Yeah, thanks, Brian. And one last question for some of our younger viewers. Why should they become umpires for this Little League season? What's the motivation?
yeah. Well, just
Don't say the money. Come
I'm
on.
not gonna no.
More than the money.
More than the
thing
money.
is, the money is. Forget about the money for a second. It's just a lot of fun. If you like baseball and if you want to make a little extra cash on the side, a lot compared to other jobs. But if you like baseball, you should definitely go for it. And if you like being in the center of things, maybe there's some friends that play. You may get a chance to umpire them, or just the thing is, if you want to have fun and you want to be in a chance of leadership and you're the center of command, and you really get a chance to call things, and also at the same time you make connections with people that you could umpire in college. And if you want to make some extra money in college where you need spending money, you have these jobs in the local little leagues to fall back on. And not to mention, like I said, the cherry on top, I know I keep talking about it, the money. And if you
That's good. It adds up.
It's good. And the thing is, if you do the training, you get an extra bonus of $5 per game. And the thing is, you may not think that's a lot, but if you work your way up and you do a lot of games, that could end up being like $108 per season. I know I don't want to skip out on that, but bottom line, it's just a whole lot of fun to be behind the plate.
All right, thanks, Brian.
All right,
If
thanks,
you're
guys. Brian.
interested in signing up for umpiring, you can go to the Baird Center and sign up. It's on Saturday for about 3 hours every Saturday. It's real fun. You should definitely check it out.
Definitely check it out. All right, thanks, guys.
No problem.
Okay.
Now it's time to move on to our professional sports. It's time to talk about our quick hits. Mark, the NHL All-Star Game is coming up this weekend, but the cast of players will be missing a big member as league superstar Sidney Crosby will be missing his third All-Star Game due to injury. Mark, it's obvious that from a player's standpoint, it's not worth risking injury by playing in these events, and it's not worth their time and money. But what can the NHL and other leagues do to generate more interest in the game?
Well, you've seen this. This has been an issue for a while now. This is not the age of, where few games were televised on TV and, people were only getting to see, the big stars in one game once every year. So now, there really is an obvious lack of interest from the players. And, they're trying their best. The MLB has the Home Run Derby, which is relatively new.
The Pro Bowl's a joke, though.
The Pro Bowl, really does not have much besides the game. And, the NHL has a skills competition, but these are all attempts to try to generate more attention for the event. But for the actual game, for the past couple of years, it just there's not enough interest because players, they don't want to risk injury. They see these, at least for the NBA and the MLB and the NHL, these happen in the middle of the season. They see it more as a vacation and a break to rest their bodies rather than, a fun event where they're going to play 100% or play at all.
And you look at these kind of strenuous sports, you look at football, hockey, and it's really just difficult to kind of play in an extra game, put your body in harm's way, when it really doesn't matter. NFL, Pro Bowl, the season ended, the Super Bowl was even after. But it's just the players don't care, so why should the fans? It's almost like an exhibition. Major League Baseball is the only one that's really great because, you can't fake baseball. You can't fake, 95-mile-an-hour pitches, home runs. But Other than that, I really am not a big fan of the All-Star games, and there's not much you can do to change them.
Especially, when you're being paid millions of dollars to perform, and people are expecting you to perform and win. I mean, you don't want to have to risk injury during these events. Russell, one of the main surprises of the NBA this season has been the San Antonio Spurs. They're 37-7, and it looks like the veteran core, everyone knows Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. They're doing superb. They're top of the league. Are you surprised how good they're playing?
I am surprised. When we started the NBA season, it was all, can the Lakers do it again? We're talking Miami Heat. The San Antonio Spurs weren't even on the radar. They had a quick playoff exit last year, but this year they've just picked it up, and it all comes down to the big three. Every good team in the league seems to have one. They've got Ginobili, Parker, and Duncan, a real veteran core. You look at Manu, 18 points per game. Tony Parker, 17.4 and 7 assists. And then, of course, Tim Duncan averaging 10 rebounds and 13 points a game. This core three at this point is one of the best ones in the league. And really, I'm very impressed and very surprised. You don't really see veterans coming out and just suddenly looking refreshed one season after struggling for really the past two. Parker and Ginobili, especially at the guards, have been really fantastic, and they've got a good young core with DeJuan Blair, the center out of Pitt. The Spurs are looking really solid right now, and I must say I didn't expect this going into the season.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting storyline. I mean, you have, coming into this year, you have the Celtics, you have the Heat, you have the Lakers. I mean, there was nobody else. I mean, those were the only big teams coming into this year, and now, I mean, the Spurs have taken everyone. But I mean, who would have guessed that this team would be the number one team in the league at this point?
I certainly wouldn't.
Moving on, the Carmelo Anthony situation it's grown extremely volatile in recent weeks. He requested a trade. He's being booed at home, and now the Nets have completely dropped out of the race. How do you see this situation ending up? I mean, where is this going to lead?
Well, I think it's safe to say Carmelo's future is not with the Denver Nuggets. He's going to want to go to a team. We're thinking Nets, Knicks, maybe even the Chicago Bulls. There could be another team thrown into the mix. Right now, I'm definitely praying that he goes to the Knicks. Will it happen? Maybe. I think that's probably his best chance to win a championship other than maybe Chicago. But if you look at the Knicks with Carmelo, Felton, and Stoudemire, that's a solid team. He's averaging 24 points per game and 9 rebounds, one of the best players in the league. The Nets said they dropped out, but it might just be a ploy from their new owner, Miguel Prokhorov, as a kind of a trick to just trying to pretend we're not interested, but we really are, that kind of thing.
I mean, it's really just become the NBA in a nutshell, really. I mean, and it's now players, not deciding based on what their team needs. It's what they need, what they want, and it's not a trend that the NBA wants to see moving forward.
Well, it's really just the big three. It started when Boston did it with Garnett and Ray Allen joining Paul Pierce. They won a championship immediately, and then if you're a star player, you look at them and say, wow, I want to go to a team like that. We can win a championship in a year. Mm-hmm. So it really works out for them. I hope he goes to the Knicks. I think the Nets are probably the favorite, but anything could happen. I mean, look at LeBron. No one said he was going to the Heat.
Right.
All right, we'll be right back after a quick commercial break. We've got our Super Bowl preview coming up, if only the Jets could be in it.
I know, it's a tough one, but two good teams. I like the matchup.
Two good teams. We'll be right back. You're watching Simon Says on the Mark, and a reminder, check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Simon Says on the Mark.
I have no idea.
Panic.
I have no idea what it is, never heard of it.
I have no idea.
Some sort of virus or something?
There's cases of it all over the world.
A whole lot of cases of flu in the community.
I had a grandmother who died in 1918 from the flu.
A flu pandemic is a worldwide outbreak of a type of flu that we have not been exposed to before. My patients ask me why there could be such a concern with the flu. The answer is that a flu pandemic is not the seasonal flu. A flu pandemic is caused by a new virus that could spread quickly from person to person. It could cause widespread illness and death faster than we can produce a vaccine. While this news upsets some people, I tell my patients that they should see this as an opportunity to plan for themselves, their families, and their communities.
Don't have a clue.
Lock myself in my house.
Have hand sanitizer with me at all times.
I would just take a lot of vitamin C.
Hygiene, washing hands a lot.
I would change my diet.
I would get a whole lot of ibuprofen.
I don't really know.
Build a bunker underneath your house.
We know that New Jersey citizens have very different levels of understanding when it comes to the possibility of a flu pandemic. Regardless of how much you know, you need to know that there are steps you should take right now to prepare. The worst thing you can do is nothing at all. Now first, day-to-day precautions can protect you and your family. Practice healthy habits like washing hands, covering coughs and sneezes, and staying home when you're sick. These are things you should do anyway to stop the spread of germs. Second, create an emergency plan that you and those close to you know well. Third, get involved in community planning for a flu pandemic. Contact local community organizations and leaders to learn what they are doing. And finally, know that the state of New Jersey has created planning information for everyone. Whether you're a business person, a teacher, a healthcare provider, or a stay-at-home parent, these resources are tailored for you. This information and the most up-to-date knowledge are available at www.njflupandemic.gov. Together, we'll be better prepared.
I really do need to talk to my family about this.
Talk to your family.
I'm going to talk to my parents.
Contact the health department.
Go on the website.
I'll go online. That seems easy.
Public education. Make sure that everybody knows it's out there and what resources are available.
I'm New Jersey Health Commissioner Dr. Fred Jacobs. New Jersey is preparing, and you should too. Now get flu ready, New Jersey.
Get flu ready.
Get flu ready.
Get flu ready, New Jersey.
Get flu ready.
Get flu ready.
Get flu ready, New Jersey.
Get flu ready.
Get flu ready, New Jersey.
Welcome back. It's time to preview Super Bowl 45 between the Steelers and the Packers. Mark, it should be a good one. I wish the Jets were playing, but we'll get that out of the way and we'll preview it. We're going to go position by position, who's got the advantage, and of course, who we predict to win. So let's start off right off the bat with quarterbacks. We've got two good ones here. You've got Big Ben Roethlisberger and Aaron Rodgers. Who do you think has the advantage?
Well, I mean, I think this is definitely another great, quarterback matchup, just like last year with Breeze and Manning. But I'm gonna go with Rodgers on this one. He really showed his leadership skills. I mean, not many quarterbacks can say that they've won 3 road playoff games to get to the Super Bowl. But I mean, the thing about him is he's so efficient. His passer rating in the playoffs this year 104.9. But I think that really is because he can avoid the pressure. He can get out of pressure situations. He can get out of the pocket, and he can still make great throws and still make great plays.
And Roethlisberger is great at that too. I'm going Big Ben. I think Rodgers is probably the better quarterback, but if we're looking who has the advantage in this game, I think it's Roethlisberger. You look at his stats for this year. 17 touchdowns, only 5 picks. The way he can extend plays is just incredible. Rodgers is certainly great, but the plays Roethlisberger makes, single-handedly beating the Jets with the scramble, it's something that the Packers defense hasn't really seen all year except for Vic in that way, but Roethlisberger is a bigger threat. It's really hard to bring him down. He can beat good defenses. I mean, he's already won 2 Super Bowls. I gotta like him in this matchup.
Well, I mean, another interesting fact, not only, was he a rookie in 05, but then in 06, he won 3 straight road games to get to the Super Bowl too, just like Rodgers just did. I think this is very close, but I'm taking Rodgers.
Oh, I think it's definitely close. I mean, this is not really the position where it's a major disparity between which team has the greater quarterback. I think it's very close, and they're both, I think, probably, it's safe to say, in the top 5 in quarterbacks.
Definitely.
It's up there. And now we move on to running backs. Rashard Mendenhall, another Jet killer. I like him better than the weak plethora of running backs and even Kuhn for the Packers. I'm going to go Mendenhall. Against the Jets, 27 carries, 121 yards. He basically did that in the first half. They're strong, quick, they can get the tough yards, and when you've got Roethlisberger throwing and he's very good with the play action, he can make plays, and it kind of opens it up for the running game as well.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely going to take the Steelers on this one, too. I think not necessarily because the Steelers have a great running game, but I think it's because, they lost Grant, before the season even started. I mean, James Starks has stepped in, and stepped up big in the playoffs. He 263 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, but that's really not good enough, to be, compared to the Steelers. And Mendenhall's become a very versatile back, and I like the Steelers.
And you look at Mendenhall, he has really become, really a go-to threat running-wise for them. He really took a long time to mature with Coach Tomlin. I mean, they really did a good job just raising him, making him a good, a really good running back. Strong, aggressive, he's quick, gets the tough yards. And with Ryan Grant out, I think you've got to give it to Mendenhall and the Steelers.
No, I mean, it's definitely, I don't think, maybe if Grant was still in, but I don't even think I'd go with them either.
All right, so we both, I got Steelers 2-0. You're tied at 1. Now we move on to wide receivers. It's a good group for both. Which one are you picking?
I mean, these are 2 great receiving cores, a lot of veteran, ability, but I'm gonna go with the Packers on this one. I think Greg Jennings has definitely emerged to be, one of the best receivers, but I think what people don't talk about is how deep that wide receiver core is. I mean, they have Donald Driver. Awesome veteran leadership. Jordy Nelson is actually a pretty solid slot receiver. Not a lot of people talk about. He's had 8 catches in the win against Atlanta. Driver had 12 receptions, 141 yards so far, in the playoffs this year. So it's not all Jennings. A lot of people, have been thinking, that's their passing attack this year, but it really is a very deep wide receiver core, and that's why I like the Packers.
I'm going to agree with you with this one. I'm going Green Bay. Alongside these great receivers, you've got Jennings and Drivers, but another real helpful thing for the Packers receivers is Aaron Rodgers. You watch the game against Atlanta. He threw a perfect ball, end of the first half, fade to the right corner. He puts it where only the receiver can catch it. You've got to love playing for Aaron Rodgers. You look at Greg Jennings. 76 receptions, 12 touchdowns, 1,265 yards. They've got a great 1-2 punch with them. I like that receiver. And you look at Donald Driver as well, 51 receptions, 556 yards. They're really solid, and when you combine them with one of the best quarterbacks in the game, that's a great combination, and I think they are better than the Steelers.
No, I even forgot to mention a guy, James Jones, is as solid a 4th receiver as you can get. He has 2 touchdowns so far this postseason. I really think, although these, both teams are very deep at the wide receiver position, I'm going to take Green Bay, but it's very close. I think they're both very deep in talent.
You can't discount Hines Ward for the Steelers. I think this one is close, but the Packers definitely do have the advantage, especially with Rodgers, who really makes some perfect passes that Roethlisberger can't make as well, where only the receiver can get.
Definitely.
Now we move on to the tight ends. Heath Miller almost killed the Jets early on. I'm going to go with him. I think that the Steelers have better tight ends. Miller, 42 receptions, 512 yards. Great blocking tight end. Roethlisberger's real huge target on 3rd down. I look for him to be able to keep plays alive on 3rd down and short, especially if they can move down the field. If you establish the running game early on with Mendenhall, get into the 3rd and 3s, the 3rd and 4s, then you've got multiple threats because you've got Ward on the outside. Roethlisberger can scramble, and you've got Heath Miller up the middle. I really like him as a tight end. He is probably one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. Again, this might be just because the Packers have actually been a really, injury-prone team so far this year. Jermichael Finley, he's been out since week 5, but before that he had 21 receptions, 301 yards. He's a big target. He's a big, fast guy. He was a great frame. He can make a lot of tough catches. But I'm going to take the Steelers. Like I said, they have Miller, and even Matt Spaeth is a very solid veteran tight end. He's 6'7", really big guy. He can run block. I think that's what it's going to come down to is, again, the Packers lost another one of their big players. So I'm going to take the Steelers on this one.
All right, now we move on to the offensive line. Steelers took a big hit with Pouncey getting injured in the Jet game. What do you think for this one?
I think this is the really interesting one is for two Super Bowl teams, these are not your, the type of offensive lines you usually see. These are not really particularly strong. I'm going to take the Packers. I like Chad Clifton at left tackle. I think, for the rest of an O-line, remember last year when the Packers, they had that, run and gun style offense last year too, but Rodgers, again, was under a lot of pressure. They've improved it this year. Like I said, Clifton has emerged to be one of the better tackles in the league. But, I think this is just because neither offensive line is really particularly great, which is kind of weird for the Super Bowl. I don't think Jonathan Scott came from the Bills. He was not even starting on the Bills.
No.
So now he's a left tackle for a Super Bowl team for the Steelers. I don't
Worked
think he's
out
that
pretty
good.
well for him.
I guess, left a bad situation.
I'm going to go with the Packers just because if you look at the Steelers, in the game they lost Pouncey. He was their big target at center. Both teams have very similar offensive lines. There's no one is clearly better than another. But I'm going to go with the Packers. Rodgers was sacked 31 times. They're not great run blockers, but I think they've got the advantage in this one, but it's close. This could be a game where the team with more sacks wins, and you look at the Packers with Clay Matthews, it could be a tough day for the Steelers' offensive line, and if it is, they could be in trouble.
Well, they're two great defenses, two great blitzing defenses. They're going to exploit the holes in these two offensive lines, so it's going to be an interesting storyline.
Should be good, and now we move on to the defensive line. You liked Raji's touchdown dance in the end zone in Chicago.
Definitely.
The little jiggle. I thought it was good. Who do you think's got the advantage for D-line?
I think this is probably one of the easier ones to pick. The Steeler D-line is, it's just the best in the league, statistically speaking. Number one against the run. Number one in just overall defensive ranking. And, that starts up front. Casey Hampton is, as big and as good a nose tackle can be in the NFL. He does a great job clogging the two A-gaps. And they lead the sacks and, lead the NFL in sacks with 48. And, although they're in they're in the prototypical Pittsburgh 3-4 defense, and that's usually from blitzing linebackers, it still starts with that D-line. It still starts with, we need to worry about Hampton. We need to worry about, all those other guys they have up there.
Yeah, and the one thing I really noticed from the AFC Championship game was the Steelers' defensive line pushing up on the Jets' offensive line, and that's an all-pro offensive line. You've got Mangold. They've got a lot of good pieces there, and the Steelers just dominated them. Brett Kiesel, the facial hair, gotta love it, and he's a great beard, great player. 33 tackles, pick, forced fumbles, gets in the backfield. He's fantastic. Casey Hampton, great nose tackle. He's 6'1", 325. He's got 20 tackles just forcing up the middle, and they just dominate your offensive line. And if they do that, they're able to put pressure on the quarterback, and you just can't run on the Steelers' front three.
You really can't. And like we were saying about the receiver core, these are two very deep positions, at the D tackle and the defensive end. Pretty much anybody on the Steelers D-line would start on almost every other team in the league, and that's what you got to look for.
And now we move on to linebackers. This one, very, very close. You've got Clay Matthews for the Packers, but the Steelers have a great one too. Mark, what do you think for linebackers?
Again, it's the comparison like these that, this is why these two teams are in the Super Bowl. I'm going to take the Steelers. This has always been a linebacker team. It's always, that's what it's always been like in Pittsburgh. And like I said earlier, with the defensive line, they run that 3-4, which a lot of the blitzing and a lot of the pressure relies on those outside linebackers. James Harrison this year, 100 tackles, 10.5 sacks. Lamar Woodley on the other side, 50 tackles, 10 sacks. But I think the most underrated part of that linebacking core is the interior. James Ferrier and Lance Timmons, they do a great job stopping the run. Helping out Hampton. It's really probably the best overall linebacking core in the league.
I'm going to go with the Packers just because of Clay Matthews. 60 tackles, 13.5 sacks. He's amazing. Going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Now, let's move on real quick to secondary.
I'm going to take Green Bay. Again, it's very, very deep position for the Packers. They have Charles Woodson, but they also have guys like Sam Shields, or having 2 picks last week. Again, just a very deep position. They force their opponent quarterbacks to make some tough decisions.
I'm going to go with the Steelers. Troy Polamalu, 7 interceptions. He changes the game for the offense. Jets couldn't do anything against them. They've got a good secondary, not great, but Polamalu makes them great.
Right.
And now for special teams, it's pretty even in the dome. I mean, no team's got a real big advantage. So we're going to move on and go with the pick. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to take Green Bay. I think these are two very close teams. I'm going to pick it because the role the defensive coordinator played last year, Greg Williams, did a great job getting pressure on Peyton Manning for the Saints. I think it's going to come down to which defensive coordinator gets to the quarterback more. I think Dom Capers is a great defensive mind. He'll find a way to get to Roethlisberger. I think the Packers win a close defensive game.
If you look at this Super Bowl, certainly it's a good one. I think the Steelers are going to win. I was impressed by what they did in the AFC Championship game. Roethlisberger can extend plays. He's not cowering in fear from Clay Matthews. They're going to be able to throw the ball. They've got a great defense. Forget about the running game for the Packers. If they're able to hit Rodgers, which I think they very well might be able to, it could be a very successful game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger doesn't lose Super Bowls. He's going to win this one too. I'm going to go Steelers 27, Packers 21.
Very interesting. I mean, I think these are as close as two teams can get.
All right, that's all the time we have. We'll see you next time. I'm a depressed Jets fan.
And I'm a depressed Bills fan.
We'll see you next time on Simon Says on the Mark.